Hello, hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are today. This is Attorney Claudine Muhire Gasana. I'm here today to talk about parole. I'm sure some of you have heard of parole. Somebody has been paroled in. So we will discuss this option, like that has so many elements or different types of paroles that can benefit someone other than the usual visa. You know, most people are aware of the different types of visa: work visa, student visa, visit visa, business visa, or even a green card visa, like, you know, the very permanent residency. But there are other options in case either a visa is not an option, like it's not possible or has been tried and has not been successful, or even for people who can get a parole and the speed to the citizenship depending on how the purpose of that parole is. You know, one of those paroles are the military parole, which is very good as we discussed. So please, before we continue, let's subscribe, let's share, let's comment, let's like, so that we continue to provide you this useful information about immigration, different immigration options. How do, you know, people ask me actually about this parole because of the new parole for certain countries like Cuba, Haiti, El Salvador. Like if you apply, if you sponsor someone, they can be paroled in and maybe apply for asylum. So we discuss about that type of parole, but we wanted to also take this time to explore more paroles. So let me share the screen with you so you can follow with me. Okay, let me do that. Okay, so now this is me. So parole updates, right? So that's what we want to talk about today. What are the programs for parole? You know, as it sounds, what is a parole? That's what we begin discussing. So basically, a parole is not a visa, like I was saying, but the law gives the Department of Homeland Security a discretion to parole in. So parole in means like to welcome in, literally welcoming someone in the country at the board of entry, at the airport, or at the border. So this discretion or this power is given under the Immigration and Nationality Act 212D5. So that's where the power or the discretion stems from. So under this law, the Department of Homeland Security has an option to let some people in the country under parole. So we just talked about who has the authority is the DHS, and you know, obviously with DHS has different agencies. There's USCIS, CBP, and ICE. You know, the United States Immigration Services, the U.S. Customs and Borders Protection, and the U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement. Those three agencies are equipped with implementing the grant of parole. Okay. Right. So what is first we talk about what is the umbrella, under which umbrella this parole is supposed to be given. So as we saw the INA in the maybe first slide, it says that the DHS has the discretion to grant parole to certain non-citizens to allow them to enter temporarily in the country for specific reasons. So it's not given for any reason. Those specific reasons, there are humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit. Okay, so that's why we go here. So under the umbrella under which the discretion of parole is given. So the urgent humanitarian reasons or significant parole. So you would say, okay, what is qualified as urgent humanitarian reasons? So there is no there's no definition, statutory or regulatory definition of urgent humanitarian reasons, and I think the legislature left this open for because there could be so different reasons, right? But during as these agencies adjudicate the request, the applications, they hunt down like what qualifies as humanitarian or urgent humanitarian reason, such as somebody who needs a medical treatment in the United States, somebody who come to be an organ donor, visiting or caring for a sick relative, attending a funeral, or coming to the US for the protection of, to seek protection from targeted individuals or harm. So, and then you wonder, so why can this person get a visa? In some circumstances, people may ask for a visa, for example, a visitor's visa or a business visa, and some of the reasons may not fit in the qualification of the visa, or they may not qualify for some elements of a visitor's visa. And then in that case, a parole may be appropriate for someone who has try to find it to apply for a visa to come to come to the United States to help a loved one or to care for a loved one or to like reasons really they are not, these are examples we gave. So humanitarian reason, you have to be able to define that or to explain that when you're applying, and we'll find out, stick around. Well, how do you apply for this? How do you explain, like, what do you have to show to get an approval for parole? Okay, so, and then the significant public benefit. So obviously the significant public benefit, that's like the benefit of the United States, the benefit of the country. So this also is broad. So, it could be to have the law enforcement and national security, or for in domestic policy considerations. So that also it's under the discretion of the Department of Homeland Security, the different agencies to allow someone to come in on parole for one of the significant public benefits. Okay, right. So now let's get to some of the programs, right? So there are different programs when I began my presentation that are being are considered as parole so far, right? So I mentioned the processes for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. These have been provided parole. There's deferred enforcement departure. There's information, there's some for Afghanistan, Ukraine. There's international entrepreneur parole. I'm going to really focus a lot on international entrepreneur parole and military parole, which the military parole, as I mentioned in my in my introduction, the military parole leads you straight to a citizenship. You don't even need to have a green card. Once you have the parole, after a certain period, you are allowed to apply for citizenship. So there's a Filipino word. There are all these types. Some of them have been around for a long time. So we will not go over all of them. We talk about the parole that could apply for the Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, but also for other people. And we also talk about the international entrepreneur parole and military parole. Oh, of course, there's also advanced parole, with somebody who's applying for a green card, who's applying for asylum, and adjustment of status to become a resident, or an asylum. While they are waiting, they can apply for advanced parole. So that's usually maybe commonly known, so that when you they allow you to step outside the US while your application is pending, so that when you do so, you are not deemed to have abandoned your application. All right. So the process now. So it's the burden of proof is placed on the applicant. That's what I was saying, that it's not like, okay, well, I qualify for parole, so it's up to you to explain, okay, how do you qualify? What reason, what humanitarian, urgent humanitarian reason do you have, and how do you explain that? And also, what public benefit do you have? Or are you applying? Are you in the military? Are you enrolled in the military? So then you can apply for parole. And there's also what's called parole in place. Maybe we didn't provide it here, for members of the family, immediate family of a military, or former military, like a veteran who was released with honors, that also could qualify for parole in place. So, um, right. So these are factors when you apply, asking for the parole based on national security, on humanitarian reasons. These are the factors they usually look at, like the DHS, when they are considering your application. Right. So basically, you have to be a person of good moral character, or a person who has no criminal record, or maybe they look at, does your presence benefit the U.S.? Obviously, this is in a public significance. If say you come to help a loved one, that loved one is a U.S. citizen, so that benefited the U.S. because if you're coming to help a U.S. national, U.S. citizen, or lawful permanent resident, then that will be a reason to provide you a parole, so you can help in the benefit of your loved one who is a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. So, and also they have to look at financial support. How are you going to support yourself? How are you going to, you're not going to be a public charge, because they're not going to let people come in here, to be a public charge. Yeah. So, and you can continue reading it, I want to keep going. Okay, so what's next? So now, one may ask, so do you need to have a sponsor? So there's no official requirement to have a sponsor, but if you're applying for parole, you are outside of the US, obviously, because you're applying to come here, with the exception to the military parole and the parole in place. All other paroles you have to apply. I mean, also international entrepreneur parole, you have to apply while outside of the US, because you are asking for permission to be allowed in the country. So if you have a US citizen, a US lawful permanent resident, or a US asylee, or anybody who can provide evidence that they will provide financial support, it's usually filed under the form I-134, which is a declaration of financial support that really help your case to be considered. So, because as I said, they will be looking at whether you will be a public charge. Okay. All right. Okay. So now this, recently, that the USCIS announced that individuals requesting a parole under urgent humanitarian reasons can file on I-131 online. So this is a good news, because usually you have to apply in paper application, but now you can apply online, which has been a tool that helped advance all the cases, right? Like what we are seeing right now is, like, when you apply for an application online, it gets processed faster. So, and this is because the I-131 applications, yes, the parole are usually applied on I-131. They are filed with the DHS, USCIS I-131, and usually they will take so many months, even sometimes going to a year. So now applying online is supposed to give you a chance of a quicker process. Okay, that's the end. But so let me talk about the entrepreneur parole. So maybe let me go back to the entrepreneur, to the types of entrepreneur parole, and so I'm going to talk about these two these two. Okay, the international entrepreneur parole. So this is a new parole program that was originally put in place by President Obama, but then it was, challenged when the President Trump came on, became president. Now with the Biden, it has been reestablished, and this is supposed to help those who are who do not quite qualify for investors visa because maybe they are not from treaty investor countries, or EB-5, which is like investing millions of dollars. And this is usually for some of the students who finish F1 and they have this startup companies idea, this invention, and then they get funding from different capital ventures. But usually they will run out of time on their visas or PT, and this international entrepreneur parole is a good fit for that type of people. And if all goes well, that may lead them to apply for the national interest waiver, which is a way to obtaining a green card. So you don't have to be really the requirements. And I have had a video on the international entrepreneur parole. I will attach it to this video so you can go and read about it. It's very interesting, although it's, the enforceability or the implementation has not yet been, ironed out because there are so many, hurdles to qualify for the investment, the investor, and how many months. It's given for 30 months and it's renewable twice, so you get a good time. The military parole also, maybe I will have a separate video one day on the military parole. But basically, this program also has been around for a while, but when President Trump came, he stopped it, but now it has been renewed, or he has been reinstated, where you don't have to have status. You could be here applying for asylum, you could be here undocumented, and then you apply to in the military, like in different sections of the military. And so, after a certain period of time, and if you are doing well, of course you have to be either in a good standing as a military, or if you are discharged with honors, you qualify for military parole, which after a certain period of time, you are eligible for citizenship. You don't even need to go from military parole to a green card. You go straight to becoming a citizen. So that's very important. And also members of the military who have family members, immediate family members, spouses, parents, children, they qualify for parole in place. So if they have been in the United States without status, or if they have overstayed their status, the parole in place give them permission to basically forgive that time they have been out of status, they have been unlawful, they have been illegal, like they say, and they may apply for adjustment of status to a green card. They may apply for any other type of status if that was the only problem of not getting an adjustment of status. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk to you today. Again, it's good talking to you. We like to provide you this useful information. Parole programs have not been, widely advertised and known, but hey, you can use it. And if you please contact us, and if you want to learn more, and do not forget to subscribe, to share, to like, to comment. This may be useful to someone who is maybe you don't know, just share it. It could be useful to someone, all right? So let me stop sharing my screen, and let me thank you so much. You have a great weekend and have a great 4th of July. You have a great holiday week ahead. Thank you. Bye.